So our Archicad tip of the week is actually setting up a LEED schedule to show compliance, and that is our next step here in this discussion. As I mentioned, we have this checkbox, which is right here, which shows yes or no. But we have two compliance components that are important here. One is compliance to daylight view, which we set up right here, right? And we talked about that just a second ago. And the second is a compliance to horizontal view, which is the second option. And we're going to actually define those both in these next steps so that we can have a option at the far right here, which will turn on and off as meets that compliance for visibility, or as this dash, 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 which means that it does not meet it. So how do we do that? Well, first off, we need to set up all these various parts, these 5 parts that we just did in the part 1, right? Then we're going to set up these 4 options down below for the next steps, which is basically for compliance, to show compliance. And these next 4 are going to be daylight and 75% of space for compliance, okay? We're going to do compliant, 75% daylight. We're going to do compliant horizontal view, and we're going to do compliance for visibility. So let's take a look at how we do all that. So daylight and 75% of space for compliance. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set up, again, using that concat option that we talked about before. I'm going to do a new one here, where we're going to go in and set up, oops, looks like I got that off a little bit. We're going to do this data type as number and as expression. And then we're going to again add sum, this time with the EQ area with daylight of sight, divided by calculated area, times 100. And that's going to then give us that daylight of space with a percent, which I'll show you in a second. Then we're going to do the compliant 75% daylight, and we're going to do that as area with expression. And if this up here, right, which is our daylight of 75% of space for compliance, right? If that is greater than 75, okay, then what that means is that it will meet the compliance. If not, then it's going to calculate area and show 0. So let me show you what that means. So here, if the calculated area is greater, 75% or greater, as these are right here, then it's going to show the actual amount here that it's actually being at compliance. So therefore, it can use that as a square footage as part of our total. If it does not meet that, it cannot use that square footage as part of the total. So you can see here, we're open office space here, and it's almost to 75%, but it's not. So it shows 0 or to the dash, dash, dash here, which is what that basically means. Break room, of course, does not meet it at all, and also shows dash, dash, dash. So that's basically what that means. Is it's basically just putting a formula down for us in order for it to show the appropriate square footage or not within the compliant section of this visibility analysis. And you can see here where it's picking that information up from, right? Remember, we drew each of these red zones here, which is the red zones is for the area which is not visible, right? It has no direct line of sight here, which means we cannot see out the windows here. We cannot see out the window from these areas. And of course, we can't see out the windows at all from this break room area. And by doing that, we're able to then calculate these spaces, right? These no direct line sight spaces into our compliance here to give us the appropriate square footages at the bottom. Now, the next part responds to the horizontal view. Now, we can't, the horizontal view we can't calculate out from the section using this fill pattern. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work that way. So we have to do it instead by simply checking, does it meet it or does it not meet it? Okay, which you need to go to each room, make sure that it meets it in terms of that. So what you would do then is simply go to each room and verify that. So in this case, in order to make this compliant show here, what we're going to do is we're going to link together these two pieces here. Remember we talked about, we put this check mark here. And so now we've got this checkbox. If it's true, okay, or if it's not, it's 0. So we added an if statement here, and it's going to be for area and expression. And we're going to have an if statement, and again, EQ 8.2 checkbox, that's this one we did here in this particular field, equals true. So if this is true, then it's going to show the square footage. If it's not true, it's going to show 0, or in this case, dash, dash, dash. Okay? So that's the way it works, right? So now that we've done that, we check this box, it shows yes. We check this box, it shows yes. Now, you'll notice that it needs to both be true, right? And that's where this next piece comes in. This one basically takes both the compliant 75% daylight and the compliant horizontal view and says that both of these must be true in order for this to show meets, okay? Otherwise, it's going to show the dash, dash, dash. And that's where this these if ands come together. Now, I know this is a lot that I'm presenting to you here, but I wanted to present this to you so you can see how it's possible to create a very sophisticated visibility analysis with this. And that is our tip of the week.